What makes a house a home? We asked the people of Scotland, and now 6 regional winners have made it through to the grand final. At Glasgow's House for an Art Lover by renowned architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh, the judges must now decide which home will win the title. Interior designer Anna Campbell-Jones.
I'm really excited to revisit the 6 best homes from all the incredible homes that we've been visiting this year.
Architect and lecturer Michael Angus.
This is my favourite part of the series. I love meeting the home winners, to be able to put the faces to the places.
And guest judge Banjo Beale.
It's going to be so hard to narrow this down to one winner. We've seen some extraordinary homes, and to pick just one, it's going to be tough.
In the end, only one can be crowned Scotland's Home of the Year. The finalists begin to arrive.
It's just a contemporary coastal home, some nice sea views.
Just excited to see what the day holds, really.
Just look forward to seeing the other finalists and see what the houses all look like, you know.
Our home, it's named Kirkley Mansion. It is a Victorian townhouse, and we own an apartment within it. Very proud to be here. Also quite nervous, because now, you're being judged amongst the most amazing homes in Scotland.
Our house was a total wreck when we bought it.
It used to be an old train station.
I think that you make your home for you, and the fact that other people think that it's a nice home too just makes it super special.
Manor House, I suppose its character comes from its history, dates back to the 15th century, possibly even earlier. It's a nice surprise, a wee bonus to be here and enjoy the day and meet other people, and that's a really nice aspect of it, and we'll see how it goes.
Our home is the Old Manse. It was built in 1850. It's quite an old lady now. Last night I was really nervous, but now I'm here. I feel really relaxed and happy, and yes, can't wait to get inside.
Our home is a very old croft house, overlooking the sea on the Isle of Skye.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the other competitors. I'm sure it's going to be interesting.
When you're quite a sort of house groupie, it's nice to be amongst your own kind, I think.
Our finalists will now meet each other and the judges for the first time.
This site had planned for 3 houses. I'm a house builder, and I was up there and just kind of fell in love with the site, so I decided to cancel those plans. And,
And so what made you choose the yellow door?
Where's the dining space? Is that through to the garden at the back?
Yeah, so that's through to those doors there.
Yeah, just I could imagine it to be a big tree there.
Well, hello and welcome, and thank you so much for letting us snoop around all of your wonderful homes and for allowing them to be considered for Scotland's Home of the Year.
It has been amazing getting to take a peek inside your beautiful homes, and so amazing to finally put faces to these magic homes.
We have visited 18 homes from all across Scotland, and you are our 6 fantastic finalists. And from unique conversions to grand developments, every single one is a worthy winner.
So now it's time for us to go and deliberate, and it's going to be really tough, so wish us luck.
The judges retire to the deliberation room, where they will consider each home in turn. First, they must choose their top 3 before deciding on the ultimate winner.
So, I'm going to suggest that we start our conversation with Loch Bay.
A yellow door.
I love that wee entry courtyard, beautiful pastoral setting, wasn't it?
Ah, there we are. What a beautiful living room.
I love the way they'd painted the stone white. It was a brave move, but really worth it.
In Skye, Loch Bay is home to Denise and Bob.
We're really proud for our home to be in the final.
I think our house does stand out in the fact that where it is. I think the location is perfect for us anyway.
It's very much a home, and it does reflect everything about us. I think I'm most proud of the kitchen. It was an 80s wooden kitchen from a bungalow in Perth that we bought for £300 and 2 vans, and took it back to Skye and had a local guy do what he could with it, and so we sort of designed it around what we had, and I was more proud of that probably than any other bit of the house.
What do you think?
Well, my world kind of goes into soft focus when I think about this home. It just had such a wonderful, warm, embracing quality. And then it also had the embellishments of the additions and everything. It's a good one for me, this one.
I agree. It was warm. It was like a freshly baked biscuit, and I just wanted to gobble it all up. It was so adorable. That living room and the kitchen was just so cozy. But then when you stepped outside into that conservatory and just the views out across the water, it was the home that kept on giving for me.
And I remember the bedrooms upstairs and the way that the bedspread was made with some fabric that had been something else before, and you got that sense that a lot of the items in the home had been reused or re-loved, and the interior was kind of accumulated. OK, so it seems like we're all a bit in love with Loch Bay, so it's staying in for now. So why don't we move on to something completely different then? Snowdrop House, that incredible, gigantic, modernist construction. So impressive, wasn't it?
It's so punchy at that landscape, isn't it? With its curving stair.
It must be one of the biggest kitchens we've ever had on the show.
Double island. Whew.
Snowdrop House in rural Aberdeenshire is home to Ross and his partner Emily, Ross's daughter Rebecca, and dog Holly.
It's obviously quite a vast house, and when you're building a house and the house is empty, you do question whether it will feel quite homely or quite industrial, and always wanted it to feel homely, part Scandi, part beach house. I think the way it's been kitted out inside, it meets all that now, and it feels very, very homely. Everybody comments on that.
To be in the programme alone is one thing, and then in the final is just something totally different, so just excited to be here.
It was undoubtedly impressive. The thought that was put into that house for where it sat within the environment, everything was leaning out towards that magnificent view. And if the view is kind of the main event, that house was serving it up on a platter. So I really enjoyed that part of it.
And I liked the fact that it wasn't trying to kind of blend in with the countryside, but it was borrowing its language more from the kind of agricultural buildings that were nearby. And I think that's a very good approach to how you put a building, especially a big building, into the middle of what would have once been an open field. I did think it was about 50% too big.
You didn't like the 2 islands?
Yeah, I don't think any kitchen needs more than one.
Wow.
The way it commanded the landscape was tremendous, and the way it created great big open spaces. There were bits I thought made me feel were a little bit uncomfortable, like the stair, although I really enjoyed the curve. If the stair had been through 90 degrees, I actually think it might have all actually flowed a little bit better.
So, does that mean we have our first casualty? Is this going to be the first one that we say is not in our final 3?
Rip that Band-Aid off. Turn it over.
Yeah, I'm happy to see it go at this point.
Snowdrop House is first to be knocked out of the competition.
Let's refresh our memories of Kirkley Mansion, our finalist for the West. That's a mega entrance, isn't it?
It's just so stylish, wasn't it?
Kirkley Mansion in Glasgow is home to John, Jason and their Dalmatian, Mitzi Bell.
So having your home judged is a bit of an odd sensation because you do have a pride in it, but you also want other people to enjoy it.
It's a very social home. We enjoy having all our family and friends around, and that's what makes it so special for us.
Being here gives you a great sense of pride that, you know, you've spent all that time and effort and put all that love, and particularly in our case, very much in attention and detail, and it's been recognised in some regard, and that gives you a huge sense of satisfaction.
This was a showstopper. Like, the minute you walked into that main living space, that ceiling and looking right out into the trees in the street, I literally had to pick up my jaw from the floor. It was an amazing space.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. That ornate plasterwork, that incredible mirror, but also the sort of layers of narrative that the homeowners had added on. And they'd also furnished it with some really lovely classically modernist pieces of furniture, but also some beautiful antiques, and I loved that mixture.
Yeah, I thought that was tremendous. But that, I think, is also testament to the building. You know, the building is so beautiful in its own right. It has been saved.
It could have been quite a vast, impersonal kind of space, but they turned that ballroom into like a really cozy, kind of beautiful living space. I was impressed.
Yeah, it was really, really special, wasn't it? So I get the feeling we've all got only good things to say about Kirkley Mansion.
Yeah, I am pretty sold on this one, to be honest.
The judges have kept Kirkley Mansion and Loch Bay in the running so far. But what do the other homeowners think?
I absolutely love the fact that you've kept the stonework.
Absolutely love the colours throughout your house. And grand piano.
Yes, that was a lot. Friends are around, you know, you have your drink poured, you know, anything,
Amazing.
you know, comes out of that piano, basically. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I really like the living room, the ceiling in that one.
It's got a lot of character, doesn't it?
does,
so
yeah.
it is really nice.
It's just so grand and opulent looking.
Loch Bay really feels so cosy and warm and inviting. It's kind of like the house that you want to go and visit and feel at home in. And it's in a really beautiful location, being on Skye as well.
But there are still 3 homes for the judges to consider.
Let's have a look at the Old Manse, our finalist for Central Region.
So commanding presence, wasn't it?
Taking symmetry to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Oh, that hallway was gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that mural wallpaper.
The Old Manse outside Ochterarder is home to Kelly, husband Michelle, and their 3 children.
I feel really proud of our home. It's beautiful even before we did work to it. And I do see that we're kind of caretakers of it. Even though we own it, there's going to be other owners down the line. So obviously when you're creating your own home, it's a kind of reflection of who you are. So it feels kind of like an honour for it to be judged in a way, and it's quite special as well. So yeah, I'm just enjoying the moment of it.
I just thought it was a lovely building to walk through. But just that feeling when you came through the door that you were being moved left, you know, to the garden was just such a lovely feeling about it.
I thought the homeowners showed a real lightness of touch, actually, the way that they had refurbished this home. Most of the rooms were pretty much their original volumes, and even if there had been a knock through, you were still aware of what shape the original rooms had been, and it was respectful of the building. You can use a building in a modern way without making necessarily very, very dramatic or expensive changes.
For me, it felt like a really healthy home. It was really well connected to the outside, and inside it just really flowed. I love their use of natural materials, and the mural in that dining room was stunning, and that was repeated both ends. And then you could kind of tuck yourself away in the snug on that gorgeous sofa and watch movies. So, I mean, both ends for me.
We nearly lost you in that sofa, didn't we?
I was there.
So do we have any reservations about the Old Manse?
Retrospectively, I was thinking, let's take some more walls down. And every single one of those rooms would have bled so beautifully into the garden.
It does feel like a home that's evolving. I mean, to be honest, all homes evolve, and all homes should continue to evolve as we do as humans, because that's just the nature of things. So you can't really criticise a home necessarily for having not evolved fully, but maybe we could talk about whether that home has evolved enough to be in our top 3.
Yeah, maybe I would have liked to see more of a personal touch in there.
How about we leave it in contention for now, but we talk about it in comparison with another home that I think has got some similar strengths and challenges, the Manor House.
And both of those buildings are actually similar scale and character and sort of spaces inside. It'd be interesting too to compare.
Such a lot of history.
That front door.
Oh, the hall was incredible.
Manor House on the outskirts of Peebles is home to Megan, husband Mike, and their children Caleb and Emilia.
I was quite surprised to make the final. I probably felt that my own interior choices weren't anything particularly remarkable. But then on reflection, I suppose sometimes it's important not to overdo something, when there is inherent beauty in the paneling or in the structure of the windows or whatever it is that's, it's sometimes important not to overdo interiors. So it is lovely to be able to do something like this because it allows you the chance and almost the headspace to look back and say, wow, actually, look what we've achieved.
Immediately, I was struck by the front door in this house. It had kept its original patina, and for me, it wasn't a renovation that was kind of done with an inch of its life. The character was still retained, but so much personality was added with all of those quirky kind of wallpapers. It was a menagerie in there.
I actually wouldn't have been surprised if some 20th century architect hadn't been in a time machine and flown back and actually had a hand in designing this. It was sort of asymmetrical, it had that big sculptural curve. So I thought it was really, really interesting, even just from the architectural point of view.
And it's quite a challenge, isn't it, I think, to turn a home that big and that old into a modern family home. So you ended up with your spaces kind of in a linear arrangement. So you came into the hallway, but that was also your kind of main living room. I think I've been looking to add some doors onto that potentially at some point. Let's talk about the kitchen. That was mega, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was amazing, with a beautiful relationship with the garden.
It was such a change of character with the brick being introduced. That really threw me. I was thinking we were going to get more of the same, and it felt like the homeowners were saying, no, we're not happy with that. We really want to make this somewhere that we really enjoy being in.
That whole home was all about the children. They got the best room in the house, and it was in the most wild setting, wasn't it? And that wallpaper, so there's a lot of inspiration in there.
I think with Manor House, I mean, that's a beast. I talk about a sort of love triangle. You've got the architect or designer, you've got the homeowner, and you've got the building, and they've all got a voice in the process, and boy, oh boy, that building has got a loud, loud voice, and I feel a little bit as though the homeowner was slightly cowed by it. I think that the way the homeowners tackled the old manse is definitely more assured, and I think that the relationship between the spaces is much more homely. It feels like a more complete home, like a more communicative home. So out of those two, the one that I would turn over would be the Manor House.
I see your point, actually. I wouldn't disagree that there were certain bits in the Manor House I thought they'd really nailed that, but there are definitely other bits I thought, no, the building's still in charge here. I wouldn't disagree that there's a coherence about the old manse from the inside and out. The whole thing does feel very, very well composed.
So, the Manor House is going to get turned over. Okay. There's only one home we haven't talked about yet, the old train house.
It was not giving much away, was it?
It was a treat when you went inside, though.
Those tiles, the mid-century furniture, it's another world.
The subterranean master bedroom.
And the boar rug.
And the platform garden, remember that oasis?
Old Train House in Edinburgh is home to Christina, Ben, daughter Vesper, and what's in the dog.
It feels amazing to be right here today in the final.
I think what makes our home stand out is the fact that it's repurposed, and it was a train station, and we've tried to pick up on the features of that where we can do.
With a 2-year-old at the time, it was really challenging, but to know that we've gone through that, we've made it out the other end, and we've made something beautiful for us and our family. Our home isn't the biggest home. It's not had the biggest budget behind it. It's just had hopefully a little bit of vision and lots of plants.
It's lovely to have a converted building, a repurposed building in our final, isn't it?
This was stunning. The moment you walked in, it was a little surprise packet, wasn't it? Those tiles, the mid-century furniture, opening up into that large jungle with the windows out onto the street, the high ceilings. This was really one, I think we were all aboard on, weren't we?
Very good. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I must admit, when we arrived, I thought, what are we getting? You know, I mean, what are we going to find here? And then once we'd been through that whole journey and we'd arrived right down at the bottom, I thought, I've really seen some remarkable things here in a very, very short space of time. But I mean, I'll never forget just sitting down at the bottom of that platform and looking up at those trees and thinking, am I really in the middle of a city?
This sort of oasis of greenery, and we had that kind of cave-like bedroom, making real use of it. It was a warm day, so you really kind of got this sense of how lovely it would be to sleep down there.
That bedroom was just saturated in that gorgeous inky blue, and that felt like a whole other world from the hustle and bustle.
It's a great example of how to get the most out of your home by creating such different atmospheres. I mean, the gift was the building in the first place, but they responded to it in a way that was respectful of the building, but also they were able to imprint their personality and their taste on it as well. I thought they got the balance of that just right.
And also to save the building. I mean, the building has no purpose, really. And then to think that then what they're doing is they're keeping all those stories alive, because I couldn't shake the image of all the passengers that had gone through that building and that wonderful heyday of steam train travel. You know, I just thought that was like, and then the cases in the window at the bottom, thinking, just going to remind you what this is all about.
So, Old Manse and Old Train House also remain in the competition.
That's the lounge.
It's really wonderful, clean, bright. It's a beautiful place.
Thank you.
So in terms of our favourite homes, the Old Manse.
Absolutely.
And I think it's rich, it's calm, there's appreciation for some of the history of the building, and I think it's got a bit of an emotional context to it. I could see myself, if that was my friend, I could happily go there and stay and enjoy some time there.
It's tough, but with Kirkley Mansion and Loch Bay in the running, alongside Old Manse and Old Train House, the judges must lose one to reach their top three.
Three do jump out for me as my three is my special favourites, which by default makes the other one less so. I get the lovely warm fuzzy feeling for Loch Bay. I get that magical experience of the old train house, and the Kirkley Mansion was just so special, which by default means, from my point of view, the Old Manse is the one that is, to me, just not quite as fascinating as the other three.
I think we've got four very different homes here. I mean, I probably tend to agree with Michael. The Old Manse, for me, felt like a perfectly formed family home. But for me, the other ones just kind of pipped that at the post.
Well, this is, maybe we're storing up a fight for later, because your favourite three, and my favourite three all match. Totally get what you're saying about the Old Manse. I love it. In fact, in a way, potentially of all of them, it's one I might most like to live in, but it's less unique perhaps to the homeowners than those other three. We're going to turn over the Old Manse.
Now, the hardest task. From the final three, the judges must decide which one will become Scotland's Home of the Year.
So we have our final three. We have Loch Bay, we have Kirkley Mansion, and we have the Old Train House. It's quite a quirky selection, isn't it?
Yeah, I love them all. It's going to be tough.
Old Train House is really unique. We've never seen anything like it. Kirkley Mansion used to have weeds growing out of the gutters. Now it's got geraniums in the window boxes and that exquisite interior. Loch Bay, I'm going to suggest that whilst we absolutely love it, it's not quite to the same level of uniqueness as the other two.
If I had to, think of that as one of the determining criteria, if like something that has just lifted me into some other way of seeing something, I wouldn't disagree. In Loch Bay, I think I've seen that sort of treatment done incredibly well. I mean, I still thought that was the comfiest cave I've ever been in my whole life. But the other two do still jump out at me as just carrying that little bit of extra magic.
I've got such a soft spot for it.
I know, island boy.
I know. I mean, that yellow door and going in, I just felt right at home. And for me, that's what a home is all about. But I totally agree. I think you have, with these other two homes, truly extraordinary homes, and they still have all the hallmarks of a home that we're looking for. It's just on an altogether, like, more wild scale, isn't it? So I love it, but it might be time to say goodbye to Loch Bay.
Okay, so a painful toodaloo.
No, it's a see you soon.
A painful à tout à l'heure, baby, to Loch Bay.
Yeah, au revoir, not goodbye.
Okay, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And there's one home out of the two that remain that just makes my heart flutter. What about you? You're going to...
Michael, go.
Michael, go first. Okay. He's buying some time.
I had a moment, you know, and I always look for that moment, always thinking, was there something that I remember more than anything else of all the homes we saw that just stays with me? It just hit me. As soon as I went through the door, I just thought, wow, I feel so at home. It's brilliant.
Wow. Oh my goodness, so banjing.
I think there was one home that one home I'd absolutely love to live in, but one home just blew me away. It kind of reinvented the wheel, and for me, just kind of has the edge.
So which one have the judges chosen? It's time for them to reveal Scotland's Home of the Year.
Well, hi. After much deliberation, we have finally whittled it down to our winner.
It has been a pleasure getting to spend time in all of your homes and getting to know each and every one of you.
And trust us when we say this has not been an easy decision.
But there can only be one winner. And Scotland's Home of the Year is Old Train House.
Cannot believe it, absolutely cannot believe it. And just honestly seeing some of these houses, these are our dream future homes, and for ours to be chosen is just incredible, absolutely incredible.
I think maybe it just goes to show that it is Home of the Year and it's not House of the Year. And so I think we do have a lovely family home. Obviously, other people do too. So yeah, it's incredible.
No, it was so nice meeting everybody, and you know, we all took a little selfie on the balcony earlier, and I think we're all going to keep in touch, which is really nice. Okay.